Good evening. Thank you for joining us for this forum presentation of the Post Falls School Board of Trustee candidates. We will hear from the candidates running for Zone 1, 4, and 5. The candidates were given the questions in advance in order to help them prepare for the forums. 2 of our candidates were not able to make the original recordings. However, we were able to reschedule and get them recorded at a later date, so we're going to have 5 total videos for tonight instead of just 3. We here at the Post Falls Chamber want voters to be informed before you vote, and that is why we chose to run these forums. If you have not yet registered to vote, please go to voteidaho.gov. It takes just a few minutes to register online, and if you'd like to vote absentee, you can go to kcgov.us for the absentee request form. The deadline to submit an absentee form for the November 2nd election is October 22nd at 5 p.m. Got a couple people here I need to admit, and then we will go ahead and start with our first video. The first video will be for a Zone 1 candidate, which is Guy Mikanich, and it was recorded earlier today. I'm going to get the video ready for you, and then I will share my screen. Just a second here. And share.
Hello, and thank you for joining us. In order to accommodate as many of the candidates as possible, we are making this special recording to hear Guy Mikanich running for this seat in Zone 1 on the Post Falls School Board of Trustees. We will hear from Neil on our next recording. Guy, we have some questions for you today, and these questions came from a survey that was sent out to our Post Falls Chamber of Commerce members, and it was also on our Facebook page, so all of the followers on there. These are the things that our community is curious about. You'll have 3 minutes for your introduction, 2 minutes to answer each question, and then 3 minutes to make a final statement. For the first question, in 3 minutes, we would like to know the following. How long have you lived in Post Falls? What is your occupation? You don't have to answer all of them, but these are examples of what to share. What's your educational background? Have you served on any local boards? Have you had any involvement with the Chamber of Commerce, city projects, or city programs? Are you involved in any local civic or religious organizations? And would you share with us about your family and anything else that you'd like everybody to know? And we'll go ahead and start your 3 minutes now, guys. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Christina, for making time for me. I really appreciate it. I grew up on a farm in Western Pennsylvania. Shortly after I graduated from high school, I joined the United States Navy and had an opportunity to see the world and many different cultures. And so it just really made me appreciate the country that I live in so much more. And so we're all so blessed to live in America. And so I earned my doctorate degree from Sherman College of Chiropractic. I've been in private practice since 2002. My family and I, we all moved out here in 2007 from Pennsylvania. I met my wife in Spokane, and we ended up getting married, of course. And since being a Post Falls resident, I've spent a lot of time working with different children's organizations. And so I've always had a passion for helping kids. And so I volunteered quite a bit through Real Life Ministries in their middle school ministry and their elementary school ministry, actually. I was a mentor for the Juvenile Department of Corrections mentoring program. And we did foster care for quite a while. And we also adopted a teenager from Ukraine. So I've been working to better the lives of kids in our community for quite some time. And I look forward to continuing to do so.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, so now we're going to head into the question portion. So again, as a reminder, it's 2 minutes to answer each one. And I'm actually going to have a little timer going here. You were spot on with that last one. I apologize. Just a second, I closed out of that during our previous recording there. Okay, so the first question, why did you choose to run for the Post Falls School Board, and what unique perspectives or skills do you bring?
Well, I've desired to help kids achieve the best that they can. It's always been a passion of mine to kind of help kids along and help tutor them in life. But we've had the opportunity to parent some kids in the Post Falls School District, and my wife and I were really not that impressed with the outcome that we were getting. There's a few examples that come to mind, but yeah, I won't really elaborate on it, but we don't currently have kids in the Post Falls School District, but the curriculum that is being promoted around the country, critical race theory is mentioned quite a bit. It's been outlawed in the state of Idaho. So, but the woke culture that's kind of taken over our society is I think it's detrimental to kids, especially at young ages. So, I think it's important that we kind of limit the exposure that kids are having towards woke culture until they get older. They can find out on their own. But I think one of the perspectives that I will bring to the table is, I'm good at thinking outside the box. Being an alternative healthcare professional has enabled me to kind of look at things from a little different perspective. And so I think that's a really good asset to bring to the school board. So status quo has kind of always been a little, I try to avoid it. Let's do something different. And so the National Education Association has had a really big role in choosing some curriculums, and the NEA really represents the teachers, and there's not really any vocal voices that are really standing up for what's best for the kids. And so they represent the teacher, and no one's really speaking up for the outcomes of the children. They kind of dabble on it a little bit, but I really want to focus on the outcome of what we're getting for our education dollars that we're spending. I feel like the unions have too much control, and I think we as Idahoans really deserve more input in what our children are learning. And
Okay, sorry guys, let me interrupt, but we're at our time there.
No problem, thank you.
Okay, so I hate doing that, by the way. So the next question, the mission statement for the district reads, all students will have the attitudes, skills, and knowledge to be productive and responsible citizens. What role does the board play in making that real?
The school board really is ultimately there to set policies to help teachers achieve that mission statement. And as the school board, they kind of work together with the superintendent, and they hold them accountable and offer them guidance in achieving that mission statement. So I think it's really important that we take a critical look at that mission statement and see if we can apply it to all of the students in the Post Falls School District, well, all school districts really. But yeah, I feel like sometimes, some kids are getting left behind, and that's kind of the experience we had with when we were parenting children in the Post Falls School District. So I felt like some of the kids that we were working with were kind of like pushed to the side, and the individual educational needs weren't necessarily being met. So I would really want to try to focus on helping that be resolved.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, next question. Are you familiar with the actual role of the Board of Trustees, its duties, responsibilities, and limitations, and share with us what you know?
The role of the school board is really to set policies that will, like I said, help them achieve the mission statement they've set for themselves. So we really want to focus on those policies to help the operation of the school district be as effective and fiscally responsible as possible. And we have a duty to the constituents and the taxpayers of this community to make sure that they're getting the most value for the money that they're supplying the school district for. And so I feel like ultimately the responsibility of the school board is to further the education of children. I mean, that's really who is going to benefit from the school district's policies. So I'm kind of new to politics, and I'm sure I'm missing some little intricacies of how the school board is designed to work, but I think I have a good overall view of what we're supposed to be doing as a school board.
Okay, thank you. Next question. In your opinion, what are the biggest challenges facing the Post Falls School District, and how should the board address those challenges?
Well, I'm sure we're all aware that we've seen just unprecedented growth and an influx of people from other states that may think of what their lifestyles are a little different than what we are used to as Idahoans. And I think it's important that we, obviously accommodate them and welcome them, but not necessarily let them water us down. It's the growth that we're experiencing shouldn't change our way of life. And so I think another important challenge that we have as a school board, or I'm sorry, as a school district, is we don't rank very high in relation to the nation. I think we're 39th out of 50. And so I think that really needs to be looked at and should be addressed by the school board. Whether I'm there or not, I hope that happens. So, because ultimately we're here for kids and we need to focus on that.
Okay, thank you. All right, and then final question. Board of trustee positions are nonpartisan. Do you believe that these positions should be nonpartisan, and then why or why not?
Ideally, they should be nonpartisan. But at this point in our country, it amazes me how partisan everything has become. I mean, look at the mask issue and how you can almost tell someone's political view whether they're wearing a mask or not. That's how partisan you've become over something, as innocuous as wearing a mask. So I would really strive towards getting back towards being nonpartisan, and again, focusing on the outcome of our school districts for our kids. That's really where our focus needs to be, and not squabbling over, issues that really shouldn't, be having such a major impact on our school districts. So, I think the focus again needs to be all on the outcome of what we're providing for our kids as far as their education goes.
Okay. All right, and so now we're down to our final 3 minutes. And in this time, we'd like you to share why people should vote for you if they're in your zone. And then also feel free to share anything that we didn't ask you that you'd like to share with the group, okay?
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
And again, thank you for making this special opportunity for me. It's been crazy trying to get everything organized in life, and now throwing politics involved. It's just, I wasn't necessarily expecting all this, but first I'd like to just kind of mention my opponent. He's a good guy, and I've had interactions with him in the past, and he's always been very kind and fair, and we see eye to eye on most issues. And I sincerely thank him for the service that he's done for our community. I mean, he's really a good guy, but I have some concerns, obviously, or I wouldn't be running against him. But I feel like he's, being that he's been such an integral part of the school district for so long, I believe he was a student resource officer for I think like 8 or 9 years or something. And so I feel like he's kind of an insider into the school district and may not have that outside view that I think the school board really needs. The Coeur d'Alene press has backed him, and that's a concern, of course. But overall, I think my desire to serve on the board is just to again bring an outside perspective into the way things have been working in the past, and in an attempt to change how the policies have affected the poor outcomes of our schools. Again, 39 out of 50, that's not so good. So, and again, my opponent is a great guy, but I don't know how he's going to vote on issues that I think are really important, are going to have a big impact on our community and our surrounding communities. So I know how I'm going to vote on certain issues, and I just think that I'm going to represent my constituents because I feel like I have a pretty good connection with my neighboring, the people that live in my neighborhoods. And this is a kind of a farming community on the western side of Post Falls, and I have a small farm over here, and so I think I connect with a lot of my constituents. So yeah, I look forward to kind of bringing a new perspective to the school board, and hopefully that happens. We'll see on November 2nd.
Thank you, Guy. I appreciate that. I appreciate you staying in time. That makes things a lot easier. So as you mentioned, we want everybody to register to vote if you haven't already, and there is still time to go absentee, which makes it even easier. You have until October 22nd to do that. So thanks for joining us, and hopefully you'll tune in tonight, and when we air that, and then it'll be on our YouTube channel. We've been doing it about 24 hours later, so that'll be available for anybody that isn't able to attend.
Awesome.
All
Thank
right.
you so much for having me.
My pleasure. Have a good day.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you.
And next up, we're going to have Neil Urick, also running for Zone 1. And let's get this video queued up for us here.
Hello, and thank you for joining us this evening via Zoom for our candidate forum. The Post Falls Chamber of Commerce is fully committed to having an educated population, an educated community ready with knowledge to cast their ballots in the upcoming election. We'd like to thank the North Idaho College Workforce Training Center for their space and their time and their technology to help us to make this happen. I'm Linda Davis, and I celebrate the inspired and enlightened process of government that we enjoy in this country. And it's based on the gift of choice. And choices made with knowledge are powerful and influential. So let's gain some knowledge today for the Post Falls School District Zone 1. We would like to welcome Neil Uhrig.
You have it right. Thank you.
Neil Uhrig, who is our candidate present for this forum. We have some questions for you, Neil, that are the result of a survey that was sent out to the Post Falls Chamber members and also posted on the Facebook page. There are 5 questions, but we'd like for you to start with an introduction to help our voting public to understand who you are and what your passions are. So take it away.
Great. Well, my name is Neil Uhrig. I live here in Post Falls, 38 years old. I want to thank first the Chamber for allowing us to do this event. I think this is a great opportunity, especially in the COVID times, to be able to talk with everyone. Kind of my background. So I have 2 children. My son, who's 13, and my daughter's 10. They're both students in the Post Falls School District. So very active. My son, he runs track, and my daughter, she's doing the math team. She doesn't get the math genes from me, but I'm pretty proud of her for that. Professionally, I work for the Post Falls Police Department, so I'm a detective sergeant. In that role, I supervise our school resource officer program. So we have right now 3 school resource officers assigned to schools in Post Falls, and I make sure that they've got what they need and provide some guidance there. I also specialize in crimes against children investigations, so do a lot of cyber crimes involving child pornography and child abuse. And so that's my specialty that I work on, aside from supervising the school resource officers. Before I was a detective, I was a school resource officer. So for 5 years, I worked at Post Falls High School. I worked under Dina Nacarado, who's the superintendent now. And I got a lot of experience being in the classroom, giving presentations, obviously dealing with police matters in schools, but the biggest thing was keeping the schools protected. My background is I grew up in a town called Kelso, Washington, when I was born and raised down there. And then I went to Washington State University in 2001, met my wife. She was from up here, so I didn't know where I was going to go. So I followed her up here. And it turned out really good. And we bought a house in Spokane. And in 2006, got hired by Post Falls Police. And then in 2011, we moved over to North Idaho. And I love it, love being here. Community-wise, I'm involved with the Rafter Masonic Lodge, do a lot of charity work there. I'm a former Cub Scout leader. I'm president of the Fraternal Order of Police for the Post Falls area. And I'm presently a student with the Chamber of Commerce's RCLA program.
Well, thank you, Neil. You're busy.
I think so.
Okay, question number 1. Now you have 2 minutes for each question, okay? Why did you choose to run for the Post Falls School Board, and what unique perspectives or skills do you bring?
Sure. Well, the biggest reason that I ran is for my kids. I want to do something for my kids' education. And some kids coach sports. As you can see, I'm probably not the athletic type, so that wasn't my thing. Some people do PTA and booster club, and that's not my thing either. But I think I bring a skill set. Being a school resource officer for as long as I did, and knowing the folks that I know, I think that I'm uniquely qualified because I've got this network of people that I can rely on when working with the schools. And so I also have a pretty good understanding of what the laws are around education. Like I said, working in the field that I do, I spend a lot of time reading law books. And so you learn what school boards can do, can't do, and then also you look at what they should do. But fundamentally, I'm a product of public education. I believe public education, if you see a good school district, you see a strong community. And so school systems drive economic growth and they drive success in the community. And so that's what I want to do. I really want to help provide that. And so that's my reasoning for running.
Thank you. Question number 2. The mission statement for the district reads, all students will have the attitudes, skills, and knowledge to be productive and responsible citizens. What role does the board play in making this real?
So that mission statement was set by the school board. But in my opinion, the school board they set the mission, but you've got to find the right people to go out and do that. So the school board obviously makes hiring decisions. They hire the superintendent, they hire principals, and they kind of push that mission forward. And so that's what I believe the school board's main purpose is putting the right people in place to meet that mission. Ultimately, I believe that the school district is there to help kids succeed and graduate school. And so my job as a school board member is to put the right people in place. Ultimately, though, the mission is met in the classroom, and I'm not a teacher. I've been in a lot of classrooms, but I mean, I didn't go to college for that. And so I put a lot of faith in what our teachers teach. They're very, very good here in the district. And I love going into classrooms and seeing what they're doing. They're very smart, caring teachers that we have, very, very passionate. And so I put a lot of faith in what they're doing to meet that mission. But the school board sets the mission, and then we put people in place to accomplish it.
Thank you. Question number 3, are you familiar with the actual role of the Board of Trustees? In other words, its duties, responsibilities, and limitations. Share with us what you know.
Absolutely. So the school board, when you look at Idaho code, it's in Title 33, that's the education code. And the education code lists out every single power that the school board has. And it's immense. They have everything from, they can pick textbooks to a textbook committee if they want. They can set budgets. They hire people. They fire people, make disciplinary decisions. But you got to also understand where that code came from. And it was a time when we had one-room schoolhouses. Today, education in Post Falls serves, I think it's 6,150 students. So it's really much larger than what a school board is meant to do. So the Post Falls School Board, and really any school board in the modern era, delegates to people that they trust to do the job. And I know all the leadership in the district, and I trust them. And so I expect them to take on those roles that we delegate to them. There's certain things that we as a school board have to do. The budget, that's our job. Major policy decisions related to hiring and firing, that's our job. But when we start talking about curriculum decisions and individual issues in schools, I trust that to our administration. I will say one of the hardest decisions that I think is made by a school board that can't be delegated deals with the judicial role of a school board where they make decisions to expel students. Thankfully, it's really rare, but I think that's going to be the hardest part of this job, for me at least, because you're altering the future of a child's life. But that is a fundamental role of the school board, and that's one that's not delegated, and I'm going to take that really seriously.
Thank you, Neil, very much. In your opinion, what are the biggest challenges facing the Post Falls School District, and how should the board address those challenges?
So I see that there's two major issues right now. First one is growth, and that's affecting all facets of government, both in the city where I work and in the school district. As we have more people move in, we have to expand our services. And government is always behind the 8 ball when it comes to expanding services. And so I think it's really important that the school board and the school leadership keep an eye on growth. Obviously, the school board is not empowered to make zoning decisions, but they are empowered to be that voice to say, hey, this new development, that's going to cause 300 new students to enroll at Westbridge Elementary School. We need your help to come up with a plan to provide those services. So I think that's the biggest issue facing the school board for a community level. As an operational level, I think we have a serious issue with hiring and retention. Part of that problem is wages. So our teachers, their base rate right now is $40,000 a year starting as a teacher. But when you look at Spokane, it's $51,000 a year. So when you weigh that, a new teacher starting off is going to look at that like, well, I can go to Spokane where I'm going to make $11,000 more, or I can come to Idaho. It's a pretty obvious choice for folks that are trying to pay their student loans. So that's a big problem for us. Now, Idaho's always been behind the pay scale compared to Washington. So how we provide support for those teachers and make them want to be here is you have an engaged school board that supports them. And I plan on providing that type of support. The other area, though, with the hiring issue is in the classified staff. So that's the non-teaching staff, like your bus drivers and janitorial and your the folks in the kitchen. Those are jobs that typically have been paid low and they're benefited, but we're competing with jobs in the community that pay much more, like Taco Bell's $15 an hour. How do we get those people to want to work for a school district and do a very important job? And so my role on a school board, I think, is going to be really to make this an attractive place to work. Obviously, I want to give them more money. I want to do that. But if we can't make that, we're going to have to find other ways to make them satisfied to work here.
Thank you. Complicated.
Very complicated.
Okay, and then the fifth question, board of trustee positions are nonpartisan. Do you believe that these positions ought to be nonpartisan? Why or why not? For 2 minutes.
For sure. Schools are nonpartisan places. We cannot be teaching our kids anything related to politics. And because the school board leads the schools, if we start allowing partisanship in our schools or in our school boards, it's going to trickle down into the classroom. If we want our teachers to be nonpartisan, which is what we do here in Post Falls, the leadership has to be the exact same way. By law, school board elections are nonpartisan. And so that's what I believe. Now, I've made no secret about what my party affiliation was. I used to work in politics, but that's not part of this at all. I have one party and my party is going to be focusing on kids. And if it's good for kids, I'm going to support it. That's the end all be all for me.
Thank you. So as a final statement for 3 minutes, why do you think that those who are joining us this evening should cast their ballot for you? And is there anything that we didn't ask you about that you'd like to include in your presentation?
Yeah, thank you. Well, first I want to thank everyone that's tuned into this and watched this. I've enjoyed having the chance to talk about some of these issues. When I talk to voters, my main topics that I want to point out is, one, I'm pretty experienced in working with our schools here in Post Falls. I've been in every single school here. I've worked with the principals and the superintendents and a lot of our students. I see them all the time. And so I'm pretty active in our schools right now. And so I bring that experience of what our classrooms are like. I know what's going on there. And so I think that's number one, something that I'd like to share with the voters. Number two, it's cliche to say this, but I have skin in the game. My children are in this district. So I have a vested interest to succeed as a school board member, to do all the things that I've mentioned. I'm doing it for my kids. They are going to be in this school, the school district, my entire term. My son will be, I think, a junior by the time I'm done. My daughter will just be a freshman by the time I'm done. So I want to make the school better for them. So when I leave, they're in a great spot, and it's a great district for them. I love Post Falls. I've chosen to work here for 15 years. I can't say enough great things about what it's done for me and my family. I think it's just a great way for me to give back. I would respectfully ask you guys to consider your vote for me in this election. Thank you.
Thank you. So the Post Falls Chamber of Commerce and its members, thank you for participating today. But even bigger, we thank you for being willing to be involved in the civic process.
You're
It's
welcome.
a great gift to your community, and we really appreciate that.
Okay, so we heard from Guy McInich for Zone 1 and Neil Uhrig. And now we're going to move on to our candidates for Zone 4. So the first video that I'm going to show you is for Logan Creighton. He didn't make the original recording, but we were able to record him later in the week. So give me just a minute and I will get that screen ready for you here.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us for our candidate forum sponsored by the Post Falls Chamber Area of Commerce via Zoom. We're happy to have you. This moment, we're going to be speaking with Logan Creighton for the Post Falls School District Zone 4. The Post Falls Chamber is committed to an educated voting population, and so for that reason, we're hosting these forums in order to enlighten and educate the voting public. We'd like to thank the North Idaho College Workforce Training Center for the space and the time and the technology to put forward this program. I'm Linda Davis, and I believe in an enlightened and inspired system of government that is based on the gift of choice. And choice from knowledge is true strength. And so for that reason, we'll take some time to get to know Logan Creighton. of a survey that was sent out to the Post Falls Chamber membership and also posted on Facebook. So Logan, are you ready?
I suppose so. Let's go.
Okay, so we'll start with a 3-minute introduction, share with our voting public who you are, where you come from, where you're headed, those kinds of things. So the time is yours for 3 minutes.
All right. Well, as you mentioned, my name is Logan Creighton. I originally grew up actually in California. But the way I always put it is, never was a Californian. Never fit in with the culture down there. Grew up in a small little town down there, and very much kind of an outsider in that, conservative views and things of that nature. So finally, at about, what was it? Roughly 5 years ago or so, my wife and I moved up. Well, originally we were in the Silver Valley, and very much the moment we had come to Idaho, my family had done a trip to Idaho many different times in the past, and every time coming in and saying, you know, this is where I feel at home. These are kind of my people, if you will. And then so 2 years ago, we moved over to Post Falls, and just wanting to be part of the community and make sure that what I love about Idaho, the culture of Idaho, the people of Idaho, that it stays like that. And, you know, political times that we're in, there's so much change coming down the way that not all of it a good thing. And so I want to do my part to try to keep Idaho what I've always loved about it.
Well, thank you very much. So let's go into the questions. There are 5 of them, and you'll have 2 minutes for each one. The first question is, why did you choose to run for the Post Falls School Board, and what unique perspectives or skills do you bring?
Well, it's interesting in that I could say in one sense, I didn't choose to run for the school board. Just going about my normal day when I got a phone call from a friend and said, you know what? Was thinking about it, and there's a lot going on in our country. We need people in certain offices. Heard there was a upcoming election for the school board. Your name popped up. We need people like you in the school board. We need people of character. We need people who are passionate about education. We need people who are conservative, people who are passionate that students get a good, solid education and fit in the culture of America, and just have that understanding of what being an American is, and have that pride in that, of the history that we have and where we've come to. So he was telling me about this. It's like, well, I'll think about it. I'll give it some prayer and we'll see. A couple hours later, I get another call from a different friend, and basically said the same thing. And that 2 different phone calls in a short span of time, thinking, you know, I really got to give this some thought and some consideration. And so the end result is like, you know what? I love history. I love teaching history. I do a lot of living history, interpretations, reenactments, things of that nature, played many different characters throughout history. And one thing that I continually come across is great leaders aren't always the person seeking out for it. Many different times, they're the people who have it thrust upon them as well. And so I thought, you know what? How can I teach about that and not be willing to do it myself? So the call was given, and I felt, you know, I should answer it. The people of Post Falls and of Idaho in general and of our nation. I need to do my duty as a patriot, serve my country how I can.
Well, thank you very much. Question 2. The mission statement for the district reads, all students will have the attitudes, skills, and knowledge to be productive and responsible citizens. What role does the board play in making this real?
See, every person in the school has a critical role to play their part. I mean, even the janitor, you know, if they don't do their job, you can't meet that goal. So the school board specifically as essentially that conduit from the parents to the educators. You know, the parents are the ones paying for a product, if you will, that education for their children. So the school board's the one to make sure that that goal is met, and they are that solid conduit through that. The schools, they're the ones who go through that accountability to make sure those goals are being met. Does a product meet the expectation of the parents who are paying for it?
Thank you. Question number 3. Are you familiar with the actual role of the Board of Trustees? In other words, its duties, responsibilities, and limitations. And would you share with us what you know?
If I'm, again, getting into this, not quite as familiar, but continually doing research and building my familiarity on it and researching and studying and how the school board functions and most importantly, how it should function. So I would say that is a continued growing answer. Basic idea again is to meet the goal, the education of the students, their academic success. That is the responsibility of everyone in the school district, but the school board particularly to make sure that that is met and hold all those accountable to that end.
Thank you. In your opinion, what are the biggest challenges facing the Post Falls School District and how should the board address those challenges?
There are quite a few. We live in changing times. Biggest issue that I've heard of is critical race theory. That's most certainly something that would have to be addressed in how it affects our schools. It's something that it is a huge issue. I mean, there are numerous others, but I would say that's a huge focus there. Accountability as well to, again, make sure we're meeting those goals of academic success for our students, that we're equipping them for success. That's another huge issue that we need to make sure that we hold to that. So going through the curriculum, the budget, making sure teachers have the tools, the skills, the abilities to meet those goals and objectives. Can't have a goal or objective without giving the person the means of accomplishing that. So making sure we have all those pieces in place and then that accountability to make sure that they are utilizing those to the best efforts.
Thank you. Last question. Board of trustee positions are nonpartisan. Do you believe that these positions ought to be nonpartisan? Why or why not?
I would say as far as the partisan issue, essentially why does it matter? Meaning the person you want on your school board, you want a person of integrity, a person of character, a person who is able to do the job, and a person who, again, so especially the school board, since they're that conduit between the parents and the teachers, the product of education that's being produced. The partisan issue is, to me, seemingly non-relevant. What does it matter what a person, what party they're aligned with? Are they the person of character, of integrity? Can they do the job of keeping the school accountable to what the parents desire?
Thank you. So Logan, would you share in your final thoughts with our audience what you believe, what are the reasons that they should cast a ballot for you? And anything else that I did not ask that you'd like to add to the table?
All right. Well, I would say definitely I bring a different insight to the school board. I was born and raised through the homeschool system, so very different than the public school system. My first time coming into a public school actually was as an assistant to a teacher. And so viewing it somewhat from an outsider's perspective, which I would say would be a very good thing as far as, because I haven't gone through the entire system as it were, I can look at it with fresh eyes. As a school board, it is a diverse group of people. Thus, we have that it's not one individual, but it's an entire group of us. You need that continual fresh insight. You need people who can look at things and say, you know what, is there a way we could do this better? You figure the parents are paying for a product, their tax dollars are funding the schools. Are they happy with the product that's coming out? If they are, maybe I'm not the candidate for it. But if they're not, thinking, you know, Post Falls schools could be better. We could be renowned in the nation for our education system. Well, why aren't we then? Our students are just as smart as any other students. Teachers just as talented. Well, then it would have to say that it's the application of them. So maybe we need to look at how we apply those dollars, apply that oversight, as it were, and go through the system saying, can we make changes, just small changes here and there, and get a big result? So that I suppose is why a person would vote for it. They want to have someone look at it with fresh insight, someone who would hold to the traditional American values, but really try to go back to what public school was originally designed to do, and to really make sure our students have the best chance of success that we can give to them.
Thank you. We appreciate, Logan, you taking the time with us this evening. That's a wonderful thing. And also to answer the call to step up for civic duty. We appreciate that. Post Falls Chamber wants to thank you.
Okay, and our next video is going to be our second candidate, also for Zone 4, Bridget Malik. I'm going to get that video queued up for you here. And let's get ready to hear Bridget.
Hello and good evening. Welcome to the Post Falls Chamber Forum of Candidates via Zoom. We're so glad that you tuned in and really appreciate your support of this process. The Post Falls Chamber believes in an enlightened community for purposes of casting ballots. And so that's what this is all about, is to enlighten and to educate based on the gift of choice. And choice from knowledge is power. And so for that purpose, we have gathered together to talk about the policies, procedures, positions of candidates in various races. And in this case, we're going to be talking to Bridget Malik for the Post Falls School District Zone 4. Bridget, thank you for joining us
Thank
today.
you for having me. I
We're happy
appreciate
to
it.
have you for sure. So the Post Falls Chamber has a set of questions for Bridget that are the result of a survey which was sent out to the Post Falls Chamber members and also on the Facebook page. Those questions, there are 5 of them, but we'll start first with Bridget's introduction. Bridget, you have 3 minutes to let us know who you are and where you've been and where you're headed, okay?
Excellent.
The time
Thank
is
you.
yours.
Thank you, Linda. First and foremost, I appreciate the chamber allowing us to have this opportunity today to be able to talk to our constituents on a broader platform. So thank you for doing that. As you said, my name is Bridget Malik. I am blessed to have lived in the wonderful community of Post Falls for 21 years. This is where I came to start my adult life. So I am born and raised in a small town in Eastern Washington. And when I say small, I graduated with a class of 9. And from there, I went to school. I graduated from that small town, went to Spokane Falls Community College, and attended Eastern Washington University. And then I was hired by the Post Falls Police Department. Looking back, I thought, wow, what were they doing? I was really young then, right? 23. Spent almost 17 years there. And that is really where my love for this town and school district started. I was fortunate and blessed to be able to go into our schools and teach anti-violence curriculum. So I've been in everything from kindergarten to the middle schools, the elementaries to the high schools. That's where my relationship with our teachers and staff and students began. I also have children who I have been raising through the school district. And so I've got to continue to experience that firsthand, having my kiddos in the school district. And so that has been a great pleasure to be able to do that. As I had mentioned, I worked for the Post Falls Police Department for almost 17 years, 3 months shy there. And then I did a couple of years over at Spokane County Prosecutor's Office in the gang unit. And then I decided to leave the criminal justice field overall. And now I'm employed with a wonderful company in Coeur d'Alene called Environment Control. And I'm at their corporate office, and it's just a true blessing to be there. Some of the things that I continue to do in this community, I've been fortunate enough to be able to participate through our city's Park and Recs program, where I have had the pleasure and opportunity of coaching our community youth kids in soccer and volleyball and basketball, both boys and girls. As a parent, when you coach your own kids, you get that great joy. And so that's a little bit about who I've done. I currently have a sophomore in high school. My daughter is on the dance team, and so we're actively involved in that. And my youngest son is attending Post Falls Middle School. He is an 8th grader. And so they keep me busy on all the things that are happening here in the school district of Post Falls.
Thank you, Bridget. Let's go to our questions then. You have 2 minutes for each question. And the first one is, why did you choose to run for the Post Falls School Board, and what unique perspectives or skills do you bring?
Great, thank you. I am currently the Zone 4 trustee for Post Falls School District. I have been privileged to be able to hold this position for the last 5 years. I continue to want to serve in this position because over the last year and a half, although some people might see it as being a little tumultuous in topic nature, I have never had as much parent contact at our school board meetings, and I value and I appreciate that. And being able to experience the unprecedented nature of going through COVID, not being a school board member, none of us ever planned for something such as this. And it was a great learning experience. And I feel like that in itself continues to benefit me. I also feel like my time's not done yet. I really do care about the school district and their kiddos. Our growth is not slowing. Our kiddos need to continue to be supported in our education and our curriculum choices. And so with that, I think the other thing that's been a real benefit is over the last 5 years, I have been the only parent on the school board who currently has kiddos in the Post Falls School District. Everyone else has graduated or moved on. So I think that's been a real benefit over the last 5 years. And I think that has been value. I think the other thing is that I have been fortunate enough to work in this community on so many different levels, whether it was through hardships of victimization or through the celebrations. And so I think being able to balance those perspectives on the different life circumstances that our youth are going through is extremely beneficial.
Thank you. How about question 2? The mission statement for the district reads, all students will have the attitude, skills, and knowledge to be productive and responsible citizens. What role does the board play in making this for you?
Yeah, I love that mission statement. We do have a lot in this to make that mission statement come true for our kids, because as board members, the students are the very first thing that we are to consider at all times. They are a priority. So whether we are addressing that and being honest with ourselves as parents that not all kids are going to learn in a standard form, right? We need to continue to make sure that we're offering different variations of learning, whether that's through our alternative school, which is an amazing program, through our teaming up with K-Tech, which is another great technical program where kids can go and start that hands-on journey, whether it's through NIC or UFI with our dual enrollment program. Continuing to make sure that we provide for our special needs kids and that they are also getting to the absolute benefits of everything that can be offered to make sure that each and every one of our students are hitting that full potential. And part of that is evaluating, are we teaching our kids to be critical thinkers? Are we teaching them to think outside the box and utilize resources? The advantages of being a youth today is Google has all the answers. And so it's really important that we continue to have those library days and continue to have those additional resources where we go, okay, Google's out. Now, how are you going to look for these things to become? And I think really helping our kids continue to search out those options and really expand themselves is what gets our kids to being productive adults in our society.
Thank you. Question 3, are you familiar with the actual role of the Board of Trustees? In other words, duties, responsibilities, and limitations. Share with us what you know.
Absolutely, yes, I am familiar as being on the board for the last 5 years what those duties and roles are. As I said earlier, first and foremost, we are always considering our kids. I call them our kids. They are personally, I love each and every one of them. I'm not happy with them. So our students come first, as well as our staff and our district employees. We are set to work on policies and procedures, as well as making sure that we're within ordinances. And one of the biggest things that not a lot of people want to embark in is our financial process, right? We are responsible for those finances and monitoring and approving. And school districts are expensive. It's a big process. And I am super impressed with the history of Post Falls School District. We've always ran a very financially conservative budget. And so that's something that we continue to work on. The part of our duties is to act as one body. And I think that's really important. I have been so blessed to have a school board that literally has always had trustees that have worked as one body. It doesn't mean we always agree, but there is a level of respect and understanding of our goals to ensure that we are putting our students first. The other thing is that we understand we're not here to act on our behalf of our personal beliefs. We are here on behalf of our constituents, and we are to speak on their behalf. And that is really important that we remember that. And then, of course, for those tough subjects, we have discipline issues and dismissals. So one of the great things our superintendent, Dina Nacarado, we get to do her evaluation and contract, and we love her and we're so thankful for her.
Thank you very much. Question 4, in your opinion, what are the biggest challenges facing the Post Falls School District, and how should the board address those challenges?
So we have, in my opinion, we have 3 prongs for our challenges. I think the first one is growth. You can look around our community and see how rapidly it is growing. Even those of us who have been here for a substantial amount of time can tell you 10 years ago, we were saying, oh my gosh, Post Falls has grown so much. So growth is always going to be at the plate, the forefront of this conversation right now. That impacts our students in multiple levels. Number one, we need to ensure that we're maintaining class sizes because it's hard for a teacher to have optimal learning and optimum benefits of working with kids if we have 30 plus, students in the classroom. So part of that maintaining growth is we're going to have to build schools. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. As these housing units, apartments, or more home complexes move in, there are families coming in, which means we have to figure out where we're going to put these bodies. So we're going to have to look at building schools. When you look at building schools, then you have to look at the financial resources and the financial responsibility of that. So that's another one. So we have growth, we have classroom size. That growth is going to lead into our financials. So we need to really continue to make sure that where we're at financially. That also impacts staffing. If you have new schools, you need new staff. We are really blessed to be able to have the staff that we do for all of our schools. And then finally, the curriculum. We need to continue to make sure that we have curriculum that is continuing to provide nonpartisan, but very equitable learning platform for our students.
Thank you. And the final question. Board of Trustee positions are nonpartisan. Do you believe that these positions ought to be nonpartisan? Why or why not?
Yeah, that's a great question. I absolutely believe that we should be nonpartisan positions. As I mentioned earlier, this isn't about my personal opinions. I am a representative of the constituents of Zone 4, and it is my job to hear them, to represent them in the best interest of what they see that could benefit their kids or if there's concerns. Even if those concerns or thoughts or ideas are against my personal values, that's irrelevant because I'm not here to rep myself as an individual. I am here to represent the people. That's why I was voted in. I'm not political. I'm not here to make a political statement because that's not the point of this. Our point is to make sure that we are providing the best resources and education that we can to the students of Post Falls. And I think when you start bringing partisans or political races and ideology into it, we're no longer looking at our students. And it's important that we continue to keep our focus always on our students. So for me, yes, I absolutely will always support this being a nonpartisan position.
Thank you. So, final thoughts, which would include reflections on where you're headed, what you're thinking about, but also anything we didn't ask you about that you think we should be talking about.
Okay.
Yeah,
Excellent. Yeah, I would say I think one of the most important things that I feel that we're really trying to capture here is Post Falls has always been a family. We're a growing family. We're a big family. You can go into the schools and you will still find grandparents or aunts and uncles who are coming to support our children. They don't really have kids in our school, but they love this family. And I hope that whoever comes onto this board is really willing to be a part of this family. We have a community that supports our students. people who want to be involved with their community. So that is my first and foremost hope, is although we're growing, I really hope that we can maintain that love. That is why we have so many teachers who are staying here, because this is their family. We all love these kids, we love this school, we love this community. I would tell other folks, the world has got all kinds of craziness going on, and we absolutely appreciate every email, every comment, every call, and I hope they don't stop that, because without those conversations, we cannot represent you. And so I hope that the constituents of Zone 4 will continue to do that and realize that I'm not here on a political basis. I am here as a parent who genuinely cares about your kids and my kids. It isn't that important to me. And so I would hope that they would all realize that. And finally, I would hope that, no matter what we do, that we continue to just respect one another. I think that's so important. Respect, and today we have a great community here in Post Falls. We really are blessed, and our school district is blessed. And so I hope that we continue to, we're all going to have differences. It's just a matter of opinion, right? And everybody's got opinions. And so I hope that we can continue to really act as a respectful community and realize that there are going to be things that we don't agree. But at the end of the day, we're going to move forward with the best interest of our students. And at that, if there's anything else, I would always ask that any individuals contact me.
Wonderful, thank you. Bridget, we want to thank you from the Post Falls Chamber on behalf of the Chamber and its members for taking the time today to be a part of this evening broadcast. We also want to thank you for the service that you are asking to render, but that which you've also rendered. That civic responsibility is impressive. We appreciate that.
Okay, so those were the candidates for Zone 4. We had Logan Creighton first and Bridget Ballack second. Now we're on to our final video. Both candidates were able to be present for the filming for Zone 5. So we're going to hear from David Riley and Jake Dawson. Let me get that queued up for you here.
Hello and good evening. Thank you for joining us for our candidate forum on Zoom this evening, sponsored by the Post Falls Chamber of Commerce. We're delighted to have you and hope you enjoy the process. The Post Falls Chamber is fully invested in an educated public on the business of casting ballots. So education comes from knowledge, and that's what we're about today. We're talking about the Post Falls School District Zone 5, and we have Jake Dawson with us, Jake, and David Riley. The Chamber would like very much to thank the North Idaho College Workforce Training Center for the use of space and technology and time. It's been very helpful to us. I'm Linda Davis. I celebrate the enlightened and inspired system of government that we have, a system of government based on the gift of choice. Choice coming from knowledge is the most powerful of all. So we will now turn to the business of acquiring knowledge. We'll start with Jake. You have 3 minutes, Jake, to introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about you and where you're headed. And then David, I'll introduce you after he's finished.
Okay, thank you. My name is Jake Dawson. I am a third generation Post Falls resident, as is my wife. Graduated from Post Falls High School. I spent actually my entire 12 years in the Post Falls School District. I currently work as a journeyman stationary engineer at Sacred Heart Medical Center. After high school, I entered the stationary engineer apprenticeship program, where I was given the skills in many different trades. Plumbing, electrical, HVAC, refrigeration. We use all those in the stationary engineer job that I do. I also, I served and currently serve with a ministry called Young Life. It's a high school ministry, and served on that as a youth developer with Young Life for 5 years. Through my high school years and after, and then worked at the Boys and Girls Club of Kootenai County for 5 years. Currently, I am on the lay minister team at part of the city church where I attend. Yeah, I think my focus has been serving in ministry, and obviously other areas, volunteer within the community. And I look forward to being given the opportunity to hopefully work with the school board.
Thank you very much, Jake. David?
Hi, so my name is Dave Riley. I've been living in Post Falls for a year now, but I met my wife actually at the Oval Office in downtown Post Falls in 2018. We dated, we got married. We now have a little 8-month-old girl who's a native Idahoan. So she kidnapped me and moved me up here with her. And so it's been beautiful being up here. Before I lived here, I was most previously working for a Catholic educational institution, a nonprofit. And I did that for about 2 years, working under a historian. I'm trying to think here what else we got here. And so presently I'm doing digital media, photos, video work, graphic design, web design, print media. And my educational background is actually a fairly wide spectrum. I was in both public school and private school, and then I was homeschooled, and then went back to private school, and then I finished high school at public school. So I've seen a broad spectrum of different schools. I've been to a broad spectrum of different schools, and I think that that's an interesting perspective to be bringing to the board. I graduated high school Dean's List, and then went to Berklee College of Music for music production and engineering, where I was also on the Dean's List. Now, back in 2015 to 2017, I was living in Pennsylvania, where I graduated high school, and I was on the board of something called the Berwick Anti-Drug Alliance, which was a group of people trying to do activism and bring awareness about the opiate epidemic that was just absolutely rampant. I remember in 2016, I believe we had 20 overdose deaths in our little county in Pennsylvania, and it was just astronomical. So I did work with them, the Berwick Anti-Drug Alliance. I served on the board of directors with them and as a public speaker. I also was on the board of directors for Rotary International in Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania, where I did the vocational and education part of it, where we would take other Rotarians out into the community and show them different organizations and businesses in the area. Really interesting stuff. And then also the Downtown Bloomsburg Inc. board, which was actually an arm of the Chamber of Commerce in Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania. And I served as one of the board of directors for that as well. So I have not had any involvement yet with the Chamber of Commerce here, but I am involved with the Pachyderm Club, the Reagan Republicans, the Holy Name Society from Immaculate Conception Church in downtown Post Falls. And I'm really looking forward to being your representative on the board of trustees for Post Falls School District.
Thank you very much. The chamber sent a survey out to its members and posted it on Facebook, and it's from the results of that survey that your questions are born. So we'll start with you, David. Okay, and Dave.
Yes, well, I'm on the ballot, David J. Riley.
Okay, all right. So Dave, the first question is, why did you choose to run for the Post Falls School Board, and what unique perspectives or skills do you bring?
Right, so I mean, as far as the perspectives and skills, working 2 years for a Catholic nonprofit educational institution, I know history, I know different things about finances, I know how companies that are under a board of directors work. So I'd be bringing that with me. And the reason why I'm most interested in education is because I think it's the biggest possible chance you can have to impact society as a whole. I mean, really, education is where it all begins. All of these kids coming together and learning is pointing towards where our society is going. And I think it's absolutely critical to make sure that we get that right, and not to really play games with our kids' education, and to be able to provide them with all of the tools that they're going to need to lead successful, prosperous lives.
Thank you very much. Okay, Jake, the same question. Why did you choose to run for the Post Falls School Board, and what unique perspectives or skills do you bring?
Yeah, I think primary reason I chose to run is just as a third generation Post Falls resident, I care about this community. I have family members friends in this community that not only have been through this school district, but are currently in this school district. I agree with David that education is foundational. It's where it all begins, and it's important that we have a good foundation on that. My own children are nearing the age where they will be entering the school system. I see that across this nation right now, the school boards are facing many challenges, and I just felt if I truly did care about this community, it's time to get off the sidelines and be a part of this solution. And I really want to see a lot of things within the school system continue that I see are great aspects of our school district. And I believe I bring a real dynamic perspective, especially from my job as a building maintenance engineer, and having a good outlook on what it takes to maintain and run a facility, especially with what I see happening as far as growth in this area, and what that's going to look like for the future as far as maintaining our facilities, but also keeping a competitive district, keeping good, high quality staff, and really all for the purpose of these kids getting a great education.
Thank you very much. Dave? Dave. The mission statement for the district, yes. The mission statement for the district reads, all students will have the attitudes, skills, and knowledge to be productive and responsible citizens. What role does the board play in making this real?
Yeah, I believe above all, preserving traditional family values is crucial. I want to see that be the foundation of an education. I think it's the role of the board to provide a space where students can excel in that area. They can excel in core educational subjects, your arithmetic, reading, writing, science, history, above all, also emphasizing critical thinking and problem solving. I think attracting and retaining effective quality teachers is vital for the success of this district. And I think overall to ensure that these students do get that the attitude, skills, knowledge to be productive, responsible citizens. Let's see what else. I think it's crucial as well that we provide teachers with a good, healthy curriculum that can really allow them to pour into these kids, to give them that opportunity for a good education, for the overall purpose of becoming a responsible citizens in society.
Dave, the mission statement for the district reads, all students will have the attitude, skills, and knowledge to be productive and responsible citizens. What role does the board play in making this real?
Well, I think that the board of directors is going to really set the tone of school. They're going to set the kind of vision for things. And these aspects to be knowledgeable, productive, and responsible, right? These are desires that need to be instilled in our children. You can't just teach, you bring a horse to water, you can't make him drink kind of thing, right? So you need to inspire these kids to want to be knowledgeable, to want to be productive, to want to be responsible citizens. And I think that the board's role in this is really going to be in the ability to be choosing the teachers, choosing the superintendent, choosing the principals of the schools to be people who will inspire our kids to strive for those ideals. I think that's the only way. You're not going to learn these things out of a book. You're not going to, kids need to be able to come into contact with virtue, right? Good people who are doing the right thing. And that rubs off, I think, on everyone else. And so being able to choose the different administrations of the schools is going to help set those things and move it forward.
Thank you. Dave, question 3. Are you familiar with the actual role of the Board of Trustees? In other words, its duties, responsibilities, and limitations. Share with us what you know.
Right, so the Board of Trustees, to be on the Board of Trustees, it's interesting, I guess, it's good, but it's the board as a whole that governs, right? It's not just one member of the board or another. You can't just do whatever you want. You have to be able to act corporately, to act in concert with all the other people on the board, and differing opinions. So that's really where I think the power of the board lies. We're going to be able to do things like, approving the budgets, choosing superintendents or retaining superintendents, hiring, firing, disciplinary measures. But it's not like a unilateral thing. I mean, we get guidelines from the state on what kids are to be educated, what those standards are. And then it's the role of the board of directors to make sure that our curriculum meets those standards set by the state board, from what I understand. And really help execute that and make sure that all the policies are being followed. So it's not really just like it's not like the presidency or something like that. It's a different structure. Anyway.
Jake, are you familiar with the actual role of the Board of Trustees? In other words, its duties, responsibilities, limitations. Share with us what you know.
Yeah, I know it's our responsibility as board members, as David said, as a whole, but as board members to be a good steward to the budget that is entrusted to us. As school board members, it's crucial that we're transparent with the public about the budget, the curriculum that we are approving. I believe it is the responsibility of the school board to, although be fiscally conservative, but also strive for excellence, retaining these teachers, giving them a space and an opportunity to help these kids strive, but also do that while being financially wise, especially with the growth that is coming, as I mentioned before. I think it's crucial that that the board members work as a team to approve curriculum that does not have political agendas behind it, social agendas, but to really push for those basic educational ones, the primary educational subjects, and to really put emphasis on that. So, yeah.
Thank you. Jake, in your opinion, what are the biggest challenges facing the Post Falls School District, and how should the board address those challenges?
Yeah, as I mentioned before, I believe the greatest challenge we're seeing in this specific school district is the growth to our area. I think that's going to come with great financial and staffing challenges, making sure that we are, as a school district, competitive with financially with educational excellence. I think that this is also going to bring challenges financially, as I said, especially with maintaining the facilities that we already have, maintaining the staff that we have, really providing a space for them to excel while also preparing. I know obviously we cannot control the growth that is coming, but we can prepare for it. We can make wise financial decisions that keep us ready for what's next, keep us ready for those facilities that we may have to finance in the future, and staff, and keeping that at the forefront in regards to, keeping that at the forefront with the purpose of making sure that these kids have a space to be educated and not be to be educated in a proper, well-kept facility. So yeah, I think that's one of the greatest challenges that's come to our area.
Thank you. Dave, in your opinion, what are the biggest challenges facing the Post Falls School District, and how should the board address those challenges?
Right, so the four main areas that I at least identified personally that I think would warrant some concern would be growth, communication, and transparency with the parents, as well as the poverty, the wealth, the inequality that's going to be hitting in our area. So to expand on this, it's interesting. The growth actually hasn't been as bad, I think, as at least as forecasted by the current administration, the current board of directors. It seems like every year they're kind of forecasting maybe 200 or so, give or take, I guess, that more students than we actually wind up getting. So the people that are moving to this area, more of them are actually homeschooling their kids and not sending them to the high school. And I think that that's a failure. I think that shows that there's something that's lacking in the current school system for all of these parents to be moving to the area and keeping their kids at home, right? Instead of sending them in. I mean, you would expect there to be a flood breaking, records of enrollment, but we're not. We're actually, I think, 150 low this year at the high school, for example. So I think that's really interesting. As far as the communication with the parents and transparency, there was a problem with school busing. I think on the first week, they weren't sending enough school buses. And that wound up causing problems with parents. It wound up causing problems with bus drivers, having to get, dispatched at the last minute. So communication is really big, especially communication with parents both ways. Being able to meet the concerns that parents have, for example, critical race theory, ESL, emotional social learning. These are all things that I've heard criticized at board meetings, even locally. And so it's going to be really important to keep an eye on that. And lastly, poverty. 41% of students are coming from low-income families, according to idahoschools.org. And so that's certainly something to keep an eye on.
Thank you, Dave, very much. The final question to you, Dave, then. Board of Trustee positions are nonpartisan. Do you believe that these positions ought to be nonpartisan? Why or why not?
Good question. I think that once upon a time, it would have been possible to have nonpartisan positions on the school boards. In yesteryear, the Democrats and Republicans both agreed on where we were going as a society, and they disagreed on the means on how to get there. It seems increasingly that in today's day and age, the Democrat and Republican parties are diverging not only on the means on how to get to where they want to go, but also on the ends themselves, meaning that the direction that each of these groups is going would radically transform the country into something that it is not today. And I just don't see how you can be nonpartisan anymore. Ben and Jerry's ice cream has been politicized. One worldview is California values, which is no God, anything goes, and the other one is Idaho values, which is that we believe in God, we believe in Jesus Christ, we believe in family values, and I just don't see how a board can give any foothold to like this really almost satanic error that's really attacking our country nationwide today.
Thank you very much. Jake, Board of Trustee positions are nonpartisan. Do you believe that these positions ought to be nonpartisan? Why or why not?
Yeah, although I agree that it may be difficult, I believe that they should remain nonpartisan. I'm not a politician. I'm not interested in political agendas like some of the ones that they've mentioned entering our school systems by any means. But my primary focus is still just what's best for these students. And I believe that education is founded on family values and the core subjects. Again, I think although, as I said, it may be difficult, I still put a focus on working with this community, family members, other board members, all stakeholders, regardless of political affiliation. I want to see us come together as a community, work together for what is best for these students. And all with the primary goal of giving them the tools to be successful citizens in society.
Okay, thank you very much. The final round would be your thoughts. Why would someone who's watching this broadcast cast a ballot for you? And is there anything that you want to share that we didn't ask you about? So Jake, you'll go first with that.
Yeah. I believe the greatest thing I bring to the table is my familiarity with the area, with the Post Falls School District, Post Falls community. I have family members in this community, as I said, I have friends in this community. And I genuinely do care about this community and what's best for it. I think my experience already working within this school district through Young Life, where I had opportunities to work with administration and teachers and the students and the parents of those students. And I think my skill set in building maintenance that I bring to the table is important. Understanding how to maintain and plan for facilities, mechanical systems, and preparing for those things financially. And I think really in closing, just as I said before, I'm not interested in political agendas. I'm not interested in social agendas. I'm interested in giving these students an opportunity to be educated at a high level, to give these teachers an opportunity to do that educating in a safe place at a high level, and hopefully produce outstanding citizens.
Thank you. Dave, your thoughts on why someone should cast a ballot for you, and anything that I didn't ask that you'd like to put out on the table?
Sure. So, I mean, if you guys live in Zone 5, watching this, I would ask for your vote because it's not about what I particularly want. It's not about my particular belief system. It's about being a representative of what you want for your kids, right? As parents, that is what this board is there to do the will of the parents of the people here in Kootenai County, specifically in Post Falls School District. So vote for me because I would be your voice on the board. I feel like increasingly all of these things that we're seeing nationwide with there's fights breaking out, getting kicked out of board meetings because people don't feel like their voice is being heard. And that's what I would be here to provide, to make sure that we can get a line of communication open to you, to bring some transparency to the whole process, whether it be curriculum, what's being taught, or just being able to look things up on the website, right? I have a web development background, so I always love being able to get online and pull things up really easily. And I think that there's got to be a way to listen to parents, to give them what they want for their kids, to listen to what the kids need themselves, and to put it all together. So I mean, that's why I would say to vote for me because I would be your voice on board. And that's what's, I think, most important with this particular election. So.
Thank you, Dave, and thank you, Jake. We really appreciate you taking the time to be with us today, but especially the Post Falls Chamber and its members would like to thank you both for engaging in the civic process.
Okay, so that was the candidates for Zone 5, David Riley and Jake Dawson. We do want to thank all of you for joining us tonight. We'll be putting this recording on the Post Falls Chamber YouTube channel. It should be up by the end of day tomorrow. We will announce that on our Facebook page as well as our website at postfallschamber.com. We want to thank all of the candidates for participating in these forums. Linda Davis for taking 3 days out of her busy schedule to help moderate for us. And of course, the team at North Idaho College Workforce Training Center for your use of technology, your classroom, and your time. Every vote counts, so we hope to see you at the polls on November 2nd. Have a great evening.